Halo, halo, witajcie. W USA nasi koledzy symulacyjni mieli spięcie z płaskoziemianami AE i ja tam się pojawiłem i taki komentarz wyniknął. Napisałem parę słów do Jasona, a on odpisał, że planują zrobić jakąś większą produkcję o symulacji, tak żeby to dla ludzi było bardziej dostępne i zrozumiałe. No i to bardzo fajna rzecz. Poczekamy, zobaczymy. Teraz tak, dzisiejszy odcinek jest przeznaczony dla tych z Was, którzy interesujecie się tematami okołobiblijnymi i znacie na przykład Marka Blogi. Czasami w komentarzach posługuję się takim zwrotem, że równie dobrze początkiem istnienia tego świata dla każdego z nas może być dzień naszych narodzin, z łona matki. I za chwilkę puszczę Wam film o łonie właśnie, o macicy, która jest matrycą. Dla lubiących takie rozważania, takie tematy, tu jako uzupełnienie macie linka w opisie do kosmicznych opowieści. Tam bardzo ciekawa rozkminka jest o Adamie i Ewie. A teraz przechodzimy do naszego filmu, a właściwie to dwóch. I najpierw malutkie wprowadzenie. Otóż, jak tutaj widzimy, jest to Księga Stworzenia. Pierwszego dnia powstała światłość, a czwartego dnia powstało słońce. To jest to właśnie, co Wam wielokrotnie pokazywałem, tak? Że światło nieba nie jest tym samym, co światło słońca. Ale najbardziej chodzi mi tutaj w tym o coś innego. Otóż spójrzcie, trzeciego dnia powstały rośliny, a jak wiemy, do wegetacji roślin potrzeba słońca, tak? O tym nam mówi system heliocentryczny i również o tym nam mówi płaski model AE. Potrzebne jest słońce, żeby mogła zachodzić wegetacja roślin. Natomiast tutaj mamy trzeciego dnia powstały rośliny, a czwartego dnia dopiero powstało słońce. Więc jest to możliwe tylko i wyłącznie w symulacji coś takiego, tak? Rośliny żyły bez słońca jeden dzień. A teraz zobaczcie te dwa filmiki, w których są właśnie rozważania o macicy, matrycy i symulowanych sprawach na podstawie Biblii. Ja już dziękuję bardzo, więcej się nie będę odzywał. Wszystkiego dobrego i pozdrawiam Was.
Clicked on this video because you're interested in what the Bible has to say about this, either because you know the Bible has accurately predicted the future multiple times, or you believe in some or all of the Bible stories. Maybe you believe those stories because you've had supernatural experiences yourself. In any case, let's look at some scriptures that seem to indicate that we live in a simulated type reality, something like a controlled dream. Aside from the obvious points that you've already heard, such as Moses parting the Red Sea, causing all manner of plagues in Egypt, talking to a desert rock, consequently causing water to pour out of it, and hearing a voice from a bush that seemed to be burning but wasn't, there are also some lesser-known, peculiar bits of information in the Bible. For example, did you know that a rock also produced fire in Judges 6 and poured out rivers of oil in Job 29? This begs the question, are rocks sometimes a disguise for something else? Isaiah 2:10 advises the reader to enter the rock. Now you might think this is just a fancy way of telling us to hide in a cave, but how about this comment Isaiah made in chapter 42:11? Let the inhabitants of the rock sing. Again, he's just referring to people who live in the mountains or caves in the mountains, right? Well then why use a different word for cave? In one chapter, Isaiah 2, we see at least 4 different words for rock and a completely different word for cave. In verse 10, the word for rock is number 6697, and also in verse 19. But verse 19 also includes the word for cave, number 4247. So 6697 does not refer to a cave. If you look at the actual definition of the word, nowhere does it mean cave. So the question remains, how does one enter or exit a rock? Not a cave, but an actual rock. How about this one in Song of Solomon 2:14? The clefts of the rock has the secret place of the stairs. So if this refers to a cave, it certainly isn't a natural one if it has stairs. And these biblical caves are definitely not your average cave either. For example, the cave that Joseph apparently carved out himself to bury Jesus in Matthew 27. You know, the one that the guards watched over all night to make sure no one took Jesus out, and then later it was opened and Jesus wasn't there. How the heck did Joseph carve out a cave by himself in that short of a time frame? Even with God's help, this is still mysterious. These weird Bible rocks can produce an opening overnight, pour out oil or water, cook a meal, provide living quarters for a bunch of people, and even bring the dead back to life. Jesus went into one dead and came back out alive, apparently. And while we're on that topic, what was it Jesus said about our world? He said that whatever you desire, if you believe in your heart that you will receive it, you will have it. He said this even applies to moving mountains. I understand that God is great, but why would God move a mountain for one person? I mean, couldn't it harm someone else who just happens to be in the way? I mean, it definitely would harm some animals, right? When we really think about that, it doesn't seem like something a loving God would do unless that mountain is really just code in God's computer. And don't forget how Jesus entered this world. He was born out of a virgin womb. And one of the words for womb in the Old Testament is, get this, matrix. Exodus 12:13 through 15, all that open the matrix, all the firstborn of the children. Exodus 34:19, all that open the matrix are mine, every firstling. And Numbers 3:12, all the firstborn that open the matrix among the children of Israel. This word translated as matrix, number 7358, means womb. But there are other words for womb in the Old Testament, such as word 990. So maybe matrix does refer to something else. The womb is also the opening of the matrix. Jesus opened the matrix to enter this world. The womb is the entrance, the opening of the matrix. So entering this world is opening the matrix. But what is this world? Is the world itself the matrix as defined in the famous movie, or is it a dream? Isaiah says in chapter 29 verses 7 and 8 that the multitude of nations that fight against Ariel shall be as a dream. It shall be as when a hungry man dreams that he eats, but when he wakes up, he's still hungry. Job says in chapter 20, verses 5 and 8, that the wicked will fly away as a dream and not be found. If they fly away like in a dream, well, in a dream, they would just disappear. They would be there 1 minute and be gone in the next. In Psalm 73, it says, again, the wicked will be brought into desolation in a moment, as a dream when one awakens. So when you wake up, you will despise their image. There's something deep happening here, deeper than what we'll look at in this video. But it's clear that the wicked will be removed, just like a bad dream. And this one almost seems to imply that we're having the bad dream so that when we wake up, we'll despise the bad dream. In chapter 126 of Psalms, again, it says, when the Lord turned again the captivity of Zion, we were like them that dreamed. Turn again, meaning revoke their captivity. In other words, set them free. So when they were set free, they were like them who dream. Okay, so some dreamers have dreams of freedom, and others, like in Jude 1:6 through 8, are filthy dreamers. The angels who did not keep their first estate but left their habitation, they are filthy dreamers. And this word, number 1797, literally means dream or filthy dreamer, and it stems from word 1798, a dream, which stems from two words translated as in sleep. So that leads into the biblical reference of the wicked being asleep. But we also see a dream of freedom mentioned, where the wicked disappear. So is what Jesus said about moving mountains literally true? If it is, then we most certainly are in a dream or simulation. And if so, can we influence it or control it as Jesus said? We all know there are many references to sleep in the Bible. Yahweh causes a deep sleep in Genesis 2:21, 15:12, 1 Samuel 26:12, and Isaiah 29:10. The Elohim cast horses and chariots into a deep sleep in Psalm 76:6. In Jeremiah 51:39 and 57, it says Babylon will sleep a perpetual sleep. In other words, Babylon will never wake up. Proverbs 4, verses 14 through 16 say that the wicked do not sleep unless they do mischief or cause others to fall. This is the same as saying that if the wicked were good, they would not sleep. And that seems to run contrary to what most people believe about sleep. Most people believe that people who do bad things don't sleep very well. So if Proverbs 4 says bad people only sleep if they're bad, then could it be referring to a different type of sleep? All of this seems to imply that sleep is only for the wicked, but Psalm 127 says that Yahweh gives the beloved sleep. It's talking about how Yahweh builds and protects everything, and because of this, it's vain to try to build or protect anything yourself. In verse 2 it says it's also vain to rise up early and stay up late suffering because Yahweh gives the beloved sleep. Maybe this just refers to getting a good night's sleep, but the word translated as give also means put. So this can also say Yahweh put the beloved to sleep. There's also a clue in the verse right after it. It references the fruit of the womb. In the previous video, we found out the womb is the matrix and birth is the opening of the matrix. In other words, birth is the doorway or gateway of the matrix. Therefore, the fruit of the womb in Psalm 127 is the fruit of the matrix and the fruit that passes through the gateway of the matrix. This fruit, the children, it says, are the heritage of Yahweh. Those who pass through the gateway of the matrix are a reward. So Yahweh put the beloved to sleep, and the passage through the gateway is a reward. Okay, let's look for more scriptural confirmation of this. In Proverbs 3:32, we're told that Yahweh's secret is with the righteous, and Job 14 indicates that this secret is a hidden grave. In Job 14:12 through 14, it says humans will sleep and awaken when the heavens are gone, that they will be hidden in a grave and kept secret until the wrath has passed, waiting all the days of their appointed time until the change. The filler words that King James added here imply that Job is simply wishing here that death were only sleep. And that makes sense. But verses 16 through 18 add a few clues to this. It says Job's steps are numbered and his transgression sealed up in a bag. And that's a bit odd. Then it adds that falling mountains come to nothing. And this is an important clue because remember what Jesus said about falling mountains. In Mark 11:23, he says that mountains can be moved by belief alone. So could he have been referring to Job's secret hidden grave sealed up in a bag where falling mountains come to nothing? Notice Psalm 90 mentions the mountains again in reference to sleep. In verses 1 through 5, it says Adonai, this word translated as Lord, and number 136 is Adonai. It says Adonai has been our dwelling place in all generations before the mountains were brought forth. Then look at verses 3 and 5. It says the children of men are as asleep. 1,000 years in thy sight are but as yesterday. 2 Peter 3:8 confirms this again when it says, one day with the Lord is as 1,000 years. In other words, 1,000 years for us is only one day for the Lord. If we take this literally, and 1,000 years for us is only 24 hours for the Lord, then 500 years for us would be 12 hours for the Lord, 250 years for us would be 6 hours for the Lord, 125 years for us would be 3 hours for the Lord, and 62.5 years for us would be 1.5 hours for the Lord. The average human lifespan is currently 79 years. So if we take 1,000 years and divide that by 24 hours in one day, that gives us roughly 42 years per hour. If a person lived to be twice that amount, 84 years old, only 2 hours would have passed from the Lord's point of view. The current human lifespan of 79 years is less than 2 hours in God's world. So when Job talks about waiting in the secret grave for the appointed time, he may be talking about 2 hours, which for us is a long time. An entire lifetime for us is only 2 hours for God. How could this be possible? Only if it were a dream, a controlled, dream-like state where our steps can literally be numbered, where mountains can be moved with words, and their falling comes to nothing. Okay, look at Psalm 132, 13 and 14. It tells us, Zion is the rest and dwelling place for a long time. Zion is the rest and dwelling place. So remember in Psalm 90, it indicated that humans are sleeping in a dwelling place, a place where 2 hours feels like a literal lifetime. Zion, it says, is the name of the dwelling place. And this dwelling place in the Bible is a rest, in other words, a sleep. Psalm 4:8 confirms this again when it says, in peace and sleep, Yahweh makes me dwell in safety. Then again in Proverbs 3:19 through 24, Yahweh founded the earth and the heavens with understanding and wisdom. You will walk in your way safely, and when you lie down, your sleep will be sweet. So again, this can indicate that the sleep is a safe dwelling. So some of these verses can have multiple meanings, and individually can be taken for the most simple explanation. However, when we put it together, a much more interesting picture is visible. There is a magic sleep that God puts people into, both good and bad, and this sleep is a safe dwelling place in a secret hidden grave where you can move mountains with your mind. The wicked, it says, will never awaken from this sleep, but the good will wake up after the wrath has passed, after their appointed time. And Daniel 12:1 and 2 confirms this as well. At the time of trouble, those who sleep will awaken. So some may still take this sleep to be a reference to death, since the Bible makes multiple references to sleeping with the ancestors at the time of death. For example, in Deuteronomy 31:16, 2 Samuel 7:12, and 1 Kings 1:21. But this can also be a reference to a special sleep, an ancestor simulation, a controlled simulation dream where we live a lifetime in Babylon, a place that existed in the past, a place that fell. This can also explain why the wicked in Babylon will never wake up. This is because they don't really exist. they're part of the simulation. This can also explain why some people have dreams and visions of future events. Because those events are not really future events, they're also part of a simulation, a type of computer-generated network dream. For more Deep Bible Digs, you can see the playlist linked here. I want to say thank you to